another episode of Shell Studios. I'm your host, Corey Shell, and today I'll be talking to you guys about The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, directed by Francis Lawrence. The Hunger Games, the movie franchise that we grew up on as kids, is finally back, and this time we get the origins of President Snow on film, and we get to see how he rose into power. This was a highly anticipated film for me. I could not wait to go see it. Ever since they dropped the trailer early this year, I keyed in on it, and I can honestly say I enjoyed the movie. The great President Snow, we all know him to come from wealth and power. He's this orchestrator of the Hunger Games, and he just moves everything at his will. But this is completely far from the truth, and we get a different perspective from him in his younger days in this film. We see that he comes from the district. That's where he originally came from, and he had to rise into power, and he scratched and clawed. Young President Snow was nothing more than a scholar back in those days, and he had one goal, which was to secure a position at the Capital University. But until he got to that goal, he had to turn his pupil of the Hunger Games into a spectacle. His young protege comes from District 12, coincidentally, and is played by the talented actress Rachel Zegler, the star of the West Side Story. And for the first couple halves of this movie, I would say the first act and the second act, this movie had the makings of a love story, and you felt that bond between these two people. And we essentially seen them walking on different worlds, but grow a genuine bond between each other. Truthfully, I think that should have been the main focus in this film, because it had all the makings of it. I mean, we see these two characters and these two actors get closer and closer, and we can see that these two actors love working with each other. It was almost like a real, actual love story. They was not acting. And seeing these two characters grow closer and closer made us hate the Hunger Games, because it was about to rip them apart. Along with the two stars of this film, we see the supporting actors and actresses do a remarkable job with their performances, and it did nothing but uplift the film. Viola Davis as Dr. Gall was a remarkable character, and it was the first true architect of the Hunger Games. And we see this character is a true inspiration for the President Snow we got to know in the early Hunger Games films. Rachel Zegler was magnificent in this film, especially through the scenes where she was tasked with singing to the crowd. And it's no surprise there, because she was remarkable in the West Side Story, and it actually kind of was like a musical of some sorts, and some aspects of it that was brought from West Side Story. My biggest problem with this film, watching the last 45 minutes to half hour, I was expecting to see a certain change in President Snow. What happened to make him like we knew him in the previous Hunger Games film? Because Tom Blyth played this character amazingly in the first half of this film, and it was essentially like, yo, this guy has a heart of gold. I can't see something happening that's changing him. He didn't even like the Hunger Games. He wanted his proteges and everyone else to get out of there safely. So it brings me to this. What changed? What made him the person that we knew in Catching Fire or the original Hunger Games or everything after that? And I can honestly say this film did nothing about telling me what changed. What was the turning point in his life that made him like that? It was like this dude hit a switch out of nowhere and he just turned to a different person overnight. It was like he got so dark out of nowhere, and I was left confused along with many members of the audience, because we know him to be this loving character. So when he hit this switch, it was just like mind-boggling. Like, how did we get here out of nowhere? While watching this movie, I was thinking like, yo, what's gonna happen? When it's gonna change? And I really analyze movies, and I like to see what's gonna happen before it happened. And what I expected was he was gonna suffer a major loss, hence his protege was going to die, the lady he fell in love with, but that did not happen. Nothing traumatic of that sense happened. He just switched. I thought it was gearing towards this love story that ended in like a tragedy of Romeo and Juliet, but only for one side of this relationship, but that did not happen. And when I tell you, it became a totally different movie in the last half hour, 45 minutes, at around that some sorts. It truly began to be a whole different movie. It was confusing. I can honestly say when these events occurred, I was totally took by surprise, and I was like, when did we get here? But as I reminisce on the film, I can honestly say that Peter Dinklage character actually hinted towards this being a true possibility if Snow got into power. Despite us seeing this character being a loving guy, it was almost like this character already knew what was going to happen. That's why he was blocking any shot he had of climbing the ladder and getting to the university. Maybe I got tricked in the movie. Maybe this was his true character all along. He was just playing a facade in order to get into the good graces of this woman. But it was just so shocking when these events happened. With all that being said, I give The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, 8.5 out of 10. As always, thank you guys for supporting me throughout all my different social media platforms, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. Thank you guys. Keep commenting, keep liking, commenting, subscribing. I urge you, if you're just watching this video and you like the content that I just produced, like, comment, and subscribe, and you'll be getting more of it.